All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's 6:35. Yes, I am in New Jersey and I made it to the office. So that's pretty good. That's why you want to have a Jeep. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, hope everyone's feeling all right. Everyone's safe. Had a nice weekend. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, founder of Red Dog Mindset. Made it in. Have an open house this week. So if you're tuning into the open house, hopefully we'll make some strong decisions, right decisions, make some money. You'll see hopefully the consistent process of getting up every day early. I started earlier than most. I get up literally at 4:45, drink my water, get my mind right, get into the 25-20 in my sauna, and then I do a sauna workout with the Red Dog Mindset. Think about the day, listen to some 80s music like this, and talk about some thoughts, trying to think about it at an elevated level, how to execute with confidence. And then I get to the office, and we do the 6:30 club and go through a bunch of charts, and then I hang out with the Alpha team for the rest of the day. So anyway, with that being said, last night the futures were down 50. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be, one of those weeks, especially with the open house. And then I guess, I say to myself, pressure is a privilege. If you don't have any pressure on, then you're not living life. If you don't ever feel pressured, you're not pushing yourself. So I tell Chase all the time, he plays basketball, like pressure's a privilege. If you didn't feel the pressure of the game, then really no one's relying on you to do anything. So anyway, how you deal with the pressure of the volatility in your positions is and how you frame it and how you execute is whether you're going to be in this business for 1 year, 2 years, 10 or 20. And I've been in it since 1998. So anyway, SPYs are only down a point. Not so bad. We were down 50 handles. Now it's down a point. Still in this range. As we enter a big week of earnings, the Fed on Wednesday. So there's a lot going on. I know there's no Florida, no snow in Florida. Good for you. Or Nebraska. But anyway, you guys got 110 weather. No, I'm kidding. It's all good. Listen, everyone chooses where they're going to live. That's why people are like, oh my God. I'm like, guys, it's freaking winter. It's allowed to snow in the Northeast in winter time. We have 4 seasons. So if you think about, oh my God, it's a snow, you're like, hey, it's winter time. Let's do it. It's all, again, everything is just how you frame life the right way. So anyway, with that being said, nice, still mid-level range heading into what will be an interesting few days with the Fed on Wednesday. Maybe we have a nice little tight range, and at some point we could break to the upside or the downside of it. The Qs hanging in also. Qs have a nice I like defined ranges. So you could stay in that defined range for a little bit, and then you could break out for a little bit. So as of right now, you have 617-ish is holding. The Qs are off a little bit. So we'll see what happens here. Down a $1.80 is not a big deal. Same thing as the SPYs. So chances are we just hang in this range, which wouldn't be the worst thing. Some of the mega cap tech names started to act better. So that's good to see. We like when mega caps acting better. We also like when names are making higher lows and higher highs. There's not a whole lot of them. Anyhow, what's up, Vincent? Good morning. Good morning, Glenn. Good morning, Scotty Gids. Good morning, Tim. All right. So what do we have this week? So Apple actually is up today. I was thinking about taking options into earnings for Wednesday. We'll see what it does today. It's up $1.40. Not so bad in a sea of red. Sometimes Apple's a value trade. There are some notes on it for this week. Earnings, I believe, are on Wednesday, right? What's today's date? Today is the 26th, so the Wednesday. If you were buying options, I would say, you know what? Go out and buy right here. Buy like the 251s. Chances are if it's going to, be better than fear to have a pre-earnings run, you probably could see up to about 258, 259, maybe even a little bit more. So Apple's been down from 288 to 243. RSI is low. It's a decent setup for the print, in my humble opinion. Tesla's a decent setup for the print. Tesla is off a little bit this morning. We made a lot of money in Tesla last week. Why? This candlestick told me, hey, maybe it's worth a try. And then we got paid buying a dip here. And now can it hold above 444? And at some point clear this 452 to 454? This morning, Tesla's off a little bit with the futures. Plus, there's some talk about sexual harassment on Grok or sexually implicit images. I don't know. Well, I know that I do think, it could hang in here a little bit longer. If it could hang above 444, I might add to it, and let it digest. If you're going to play Tesla for earnings, which is the 28th, which is what's today, Monday. Tuesday is the 27th, so that's Wednesday. Actually, Apple's Thursday. This could be a good pivot area. It has to clear in order to see, maybe that gap. But those are the two that I'm interested. I think, Meta is still doing well. Yeah, some of you guys are in Meta from last week. Congratulations. If you're in Meta, look at that 3-day move. I think Bammel came out today and said take it into the print. If you sold some, it's cool too. What's it doing this morning? Meta is up another 4 at 663. So it was as high as what? 666. This is 673. So this was the high here was 666. Ooh, spooky. Anyway, remember 666? Well, the devil's number. Anyway, Meta sometimes feels like the devil's stock, but we won't talk about that. So, if you're in Meta still, in a sea of red, you're fine. Make sure to trim some. Could be resistance again. Some of you are in Netflix with me. I bought Netflix post earnings. It put a low in at 81.93 after a move from like 38% off highs. So anyway, 38% off highs was a nice spot to try it. I tried it, and then on a Friday, I sold half my options, and I'm going to hold the other half. Some of you guys are in the trade. If you're still in it, Netflix is up $1. So hey, a lot of mixed stuff here. Not so bad. So anyway, with that being said, we're going to be prepared to see where the flows goes because the flows change a lot. So recently, some better patterns. First of all, if you're in USAR, congratulations. A lot of option guys were like, wow, did you see all the prints going off in USAR? Oh my goodness. If you're in it, congratulations. You're up 37%. Congratulations to you. What the chart look like? Yeah, looked like somebody knew. This doesn't look like a short. Looked, wasn't that extended. So congratulations if you're in it. I'm actually in some LAC, which isn't as great. If I was in USAR, I'd be feeling a lot better. But you know what? It is what it is. I was in LAC and I'm still in it. It's up 6%. Not going to cry about it, but it is what it is. Anyway, don't care about. No, I care about sexual harassment, but I just don't think it's a true story. I think there's an image at Grok. Danny, of course I care about sexual harassment. I don't believe in it. I believe in if you see someone sexually harassing anyone, you better freaking get in there and help them. Okay. I like to beat up the bullies in the playground also. I'm just saying, some social media sometimes could be tricky. So anyway, with that said, let's move on. So what am I going to be a little bit focused on this week? I have a lot of iron options. I do think there's a good chance that iron takes out 58.75. That's a nice candle. It's been doing really well. Iron to me has been great. I started buying iron here and then it gave us a great trade. And then I bought more options here, sold them, bought more. I've been doing that the whole time. So, iron's down a little bit, not a whole lot. But so I will be looking to maybe buying this to go for red to green. Why not? Look at this pattern. I do think 75 is not the highs of iron for 2026. So I think this looks really good. So that's something I'm going to be focusing on this week. I'll probably buy some more options, maybe even the stock. APLD, you don't see a lot of patterns like this. This is like a huge kind of cup and handle pattern where, I don't know if they're going to let anything break out, but yet you have a nice, it's above the 8-day. It held the 21-day. I was buying options into weakness. So we'll see if this could take out, what is this? This is like 39. What's this? This is 40. APLD is only down a little bit. So I'm going to be probably buying this morning, see if some buyers come back. It was really strong on Friday. So the little ones that I'm focusing on for this week, with not so little, I feel like APLD could be good. I feel like iron could be good. I might position in a little bit of options for earnings for Apple and maybe Tesla. Into this down move, what I might do is I might buy for for earnings. I might buy the 455 calls just to have on, just in case Elon isn't nuts in the conference call and he actually speaks eloquently and talks about the future, which is what you buy Tesla for. You don't buy it for its cars, even though everyone that has a car, it's Thursday. You're right, not Wednesday. Everyone that buys Tesla's car loves it. They love it. But anyway, they have to sell more of them. But at this point, it's about robotics. It's about autonomous driving. How soon is it going to happen? So anyway, I will one more time. I will probably today or tomorrow, but be buying just to have. So I take a little stress off because you know me, I love to be in Tesla when it's going and moving, and it looks decent. Made a lot of money last week in Tesla. So if you could on the dip buy options, it's cheaper. So maybe go buy the 455s just to have. Maybe it's just a thought. And the same thing with Apple. You probably could buy the 252s. Maybe we see 262 by Thursday or after. Just talking about it. MP looks not so bad like AP. All right, let me look. MP is different. Yeah, MP. I haven't really traded this one in a while. This is This is materials. It's probably up with the rest of them today. Looks pretty good. Yeah, a lot of the materials look great. So, a lot of people are like, hey, Red Dog, what are you doing with silver? You have no silver on. I don't have any silver on. I will say I don't like fighting a trend, which I haven't. This was when I was all over silver. It was a power play. We made a lot of money here. I made a lot of money here. And I really haven't done much in here. I tried a little short once and I made peanuts, and then I tried it again and I lost peanuts. So I'm coming in pretty opportunistic on silver. Listen, there are guys who have made a ton of money. Like my brother's been buying silver for a decade. My buddy Pete's been buying it since 2007. And they're just starting to sell some. Congratulations. It's almost like buying another house, because people who buy a house pay you their mortgage and they're not trimming and trailing their house until they're ready to sell it. Most people that bought silver and gold have been accumulating it, and it's almost like they accumulated another house, and now, oh my goodness. So anyway, it's here at 98.82. Day 3 up after holding the 8th day. What I'm probably going to do is I might buy the $95 puts in the SLV for Thursday post-Fed, just in case. There's probably a chance that it's going to test this gap at some point, which is 89.67. So I'm going to do it that way. I'm not going to be hyper-focused on it. Not doing it. A lot of people are caught in pain trades. I hate pain trades. I don't like to make fun of anyone in a pain trade, because pain trades happen, and it could happen to you. So don't make fun of anyone who's short silver. But anyway, I will probably buy some $95 puts for Thursday, tier 1. And then if I see a signal, maybe I'll short it. But chances are I would not buy silver today. SLV, do not buy it today. You missed it. If anything, you have it, trim some. Same thing with gold. Gold's on the move. What a beautiful move. This was a power play here when it was set up. It was a great setup. Power play here now. It's a trim and trail, and be careful and don't chase it. Got above 5,000 again. Congratulations. If you are an asset allocator, and you put 10% in gold and silver, it did its job. Congratulations. If you know my 8 and 21 day moving average rules, and here you are with gold, up another 10. If you don't own gold and silver, today is not your day to buy them. Sometimes it doesn't mean it's a short. A lot of people who did that weeks ago are hating the world and wishing for whatever. Anyway, so with either of these, I would say, if you feel like you have to and you haven't been involved, and it's the roulette table, now there's 12 blacks at a roulette table and everyone's been betting red and they've been losing for 5 more turns, maybe you go out a few days and do it. Anyway, what do I think of the IONQ news? I don't know. What's it doing on the news? It's up 40 cents. The quantum names just haven't been great. I tried it once or twice. Who cares, to be honest? The news isn't so big if you're in it, I guess. But ultimately, IONQ is not trading great. QBTS not trading great. Last time I tried it here, it's come all the way back. So sometimes these things are trading great and sometimes they're not. Apple earnings there. RDW, yes, was a nice move on Friday. I was accumulating it down here. I doubled down as a power play down here. And then I trimmed some, I bought some, and I did trim some. I have it, obviously, still. But when you get a topping tail like this to fill a gap, it can come in a little bit. The drone names, were sold down a little bit last week, but I still think it's a great sector. I'm still accumulating, You can't buy strength in anything right now. It's a really tricky trade like that. But anyway, it hit 13.74. So if you were buying it at $8 or below with me, hopefully you sold someone you could trade around it. What's it doing today? It's up 19 cents. So it's doing just fine. JLBY hasn't done much. I'm not sure why, but I would think as long as it, continue, maybe it would be great if it holds this 1370 area. If it were to break this 1316, you have to take some size down. I don't care what your thesis is on it. It's just a matter of the chart's not there. But I would think that real money's been buying this, accumulating it, so it would hold that area. I'm decent in there. Careful space names. Canada opposes Golden Dome. All right, so that's probably has that down. So what's ASTS doing? It's down $2, no big deal. RKLB down $1.80. All right, so maybe these names will, take a day off, but Canada has no influence on whether we get the Golden Dome or not, to be honest. It's probably one of those, again, negotiations. So with that said, the spies, like, thank goodness, we're not down 50 handles. That would have made the day a little bit more complicated. We're down like 10. We'll see if we hold above 686 and digest. A lot of sectors look like that right now. IWM, we caught a nice cute short. Yes, we did. I bought the puts on this topping tail, and I sold the puts here as a cute trade just being extended. You could do trades like that. So we'll see. Oxy, Gary says, yeah, I've been in XLE. XLE's been great. XLE made a new January high. We were buying the hell out of it in there. It's a power play also. It's been a decent sector, so it can't be upset there. Just a little extended. You got to use your day count rules. You got to use your tier system. But anyway, lots to do. That's why I'm up every day at 4:45. That's why I'm doing my 25-20, and I'm doing the 6:30 club with you guys. And then I'm going to do my 40 charts and hang out with the alpha team. I'm going to start managing some things. I have thoughts in my head: if this, then that; if that, then this, and we're going to execute. Right? Apple is up a bunch. It's pretty. I was hoping to get, I don't know why I didn't do it on Friday, but anyway, see if it holds up. Netflix up a little bit, and Meta's up a little bit. All right, so mega cap tech did get some flows last Wednesday. So if depending which ones you picked, you did pretty well. And now we'll see what happens this week. This week you can have a lot of different flavors of the week, narratives of the week. For today, we're down small. If you're long silver and gold, I would trim some. If you want to buy some puts, maybe go out to Thursday. Crypto hasn't been great. Microsoft, that was a nice candle. Microsoft, we said if it gets above 455, you could buy it. It's been a broken name. I did not buy it. If you bought it, congratulations, I guess. What's it doing today? Microsoft is down $1.67. You would think if Microsoft's going to be any good, maybe oops, sorry about that. You could it holds a big portion of that candle, so probably don't want to see it take back, go too far below that. And if it wants to, maybe it wants to just give you a broken bounce back to this area pre. So that means if you bought it here, I'm sure you trim some. This was 453, not 455. So listen, there are trades everywhere. Pick and choose which types of trades you like to do, but do them, execute on them. Palantir waking up. Look at this channel in Palantir. But it's hanging. It just hasn't been where the action is. Sometimes some trades that were awesome from multiple quarters and sequences become a range bound trade as it needs to digest what was a huge move. Is it waking up? Not really. Still below all the moving average. It still has a ton of work to do. It looked good here and then broke to the downside and not doing a whole hell of a lot. All right, guys, at 6:53, I appreciate you. I'm glad I got in. 6:30 club done. If you're going to be testing out the alpha team, I suggest you come in there and see what we do, how we do it. A lot of great traders in the alpha team that make a living doing this quarter over quarter, month over month. Most people in the alpha team all trade for a living. So if you trade for a living and you're trading by yourself, wouldn't be a bad idea to at least test the alpha team and then maybe join it. There are some people that don't because they have a job and all they want to do is, kind of be where the action is in the market because they love it. So they love power plays, or they just love watching the 630 Club and being a part of Red Dog Mindset and picking and choosing some spots, because there are spots where you can put on a swing trade and it can go for a while. Anyway, do whatever you want. All I know is I'm glad everyone's safe and sound. Congratulations to the Patriots and the Seahawks. They're in the Super Bowl. Not going to make any comments, but okay, cool. And focus a little bit more on your life and how you can make it better versus everyone else's lives around them. Okay, don't live vicariously through the Patriots or the Seahawks. Don't live vicariously through your favorite action star on TV. Figure out how you could become maybe a higher paid actor in your own movie instead of being an extra. Then maybe you'll start feeling a little bit better, a little bit more stronger, whatever that means to you. Take your comfort zone and expand it a little bit in trading and life and be present because, I know for sure everyone's going to die, but I don't think everyone does what they want to do in intra life. So make sure you're doing that. See you guys later.